Word of warning with these, I've replaced the front head of the Slingshot, that's the original one that just uses the flat bands, for one that I can use both on the flat bands and the tube bands. But these bands these ones are far too powerful. I couldn't even load the Slingshot. I knew something was going to break sooner or later, and I thought it would be this frame, the frame would start to bend, but no, the back end of the stock, these are flimsy anyway. These are really flimsy and wobble about, so there's not a lot of strength in these. But I mean, that smashed. I'll be able to mend it, but still, I mean, I can load that to the first stage on there, but when you fire it, there's no power from it. There's very little power, even though it's hard to pull back, and there's nothing there. So it's too much, you know, it's just too much. And there's no way that I can extend it to it locks all the way out with these bands. So just be careful what bands you buy. I thought I'd try these ones, but obviously these are far too powerful for this Slingshot. So if you want you know, if you've got a rifle Slingshot, just bear that in mind. I buy a few bands to practice and see what fits and what doesn't fit, but these obviously doesn't, so I need something less power. So sometimes less is more. So the back end of this that just clips on, I mean, it doesn't clip on very tight, it wobbles about, there's a bit of play in it, so you know, they're gonna break sooner or later. I've seen loads of Slingshots, the rifle Slingshots on the markets that have got these stocks, but they're a bit naff. They're not very good, you know, so not very strong. So the original flat bands that come with this Slingshot, I mean, I can get my little finger up and you can pull it right down, that easy, yeah. So that's easy to load initially. But because I tried to be clever and put these bands on, I mean, I thought, wow, I mean, look at that. It's got to be more power, This was really difficult to even load it on the first bit to the trigger mechanism, but then it was a flop after then, so it was less powerful than the other one. So, like I've said before, less is sometimes more. Right, just for these chronograph stats, I'm going to use a 42 grain standard steel ball that most people use with the Slingshots. Obviously, I've got a good stock of various other far heavier ones for all my black powder pistols and rifles. So I've got some really heavy lead balls and steel balls and different projectiles, but we'll save them for another day for more tests. Okay. Regular catapult with my teeth. 145 feet per second. Right, the rifle Slingshot with the standard flat bands. Let's try that. ...250 feet per second. So that's the standard flat bands. So that's nearly 100 feet per second more than the catapult using my mouth power. Right, the second rifle Slingshot with double rubber bands. What do you think it's going to do? Do you think it's going to be slower than the flat band or faster? All I can tell you is it's harder to pull back, it's harder to load it than the flat band, but that not necessarily equates to more power. Let's have a go. So that's definitely harder to cock, and I can feel the frame flexing as I'm pulling it back. But it's a lot more power. So we've got 250 feet per second to beat. Just as I thought. 218 feet per second. It's substantially less power than the flat bands, even though the flat bands are easier to cock. So, see what I'm saying about sometimes less is more. So 2 flat bands, but it's these particular bands, you see, that's where it gets more complicated. If I've got 2 bands of another type of rubber, some different ones, I'll get completely different results from what I'm doing. But the flat bands are faster than that what I've done there. Right, I've had 3 or 4 shots and got pretty much the same results, but I'll have another one with these with the tube bands. Let's have another go. Although I know what's going to happen. So when you pull this up, oh, those bands are really stretching. Really stretching, really thin they are now, and it's harder to pull up than the flat bands. (215 feet per second). So 2 rubber bands is garbage, but it's still better than what I can do with an ordinary catapult and my teeth. Boy, you learn, every day's a school day, you learn something every day. Flat bands. So the flat bands, I mean, I've had quite a few shots now, and they are between like 240 to say 260 feet per second. 258, I think, is the fastest I've got. So the flat, so that's quite good consistency actually. So they're far more consistent than I thought they would be. I thought that I'd get a few more random figures, but interesting. So with the Slingshots, even though this one has got a longer power stroke than some of those Falcon models that I've been looking at, but this is producing nowhere near 300 feet per second. So you've got to get the right bands to suit this. But which are the right bands? Right, another thing that's going to slow this down is the release mechanism, the trigger mechanism. Because I've seen on some of the other higher price Slingshots, they've got a better mechanism that you pull the trigger and this opens up fast to release the pouch with the ammo out. So that's gonna be beneficial because it's gonna produce less drag, and that's gonna help with increasing velocities as well. So I understand what I've got with this because they're only cheap, but they are great fun. But I want to know what bands I can put on this to get the maximum velocity. Flat bands, round bands, which flat bands, which round bands, which type, which thickness. I've got lots of experimenting to do. Let me know in the comments if you know what the best bands for velocity will be to put on this. Don't fancy them flying around the lawnmower next time I mow the lawn. Maybe I should have gone on that rocket science course after all. I'm great at taking things to bits with a screwdriver, but putting things together.